Even China now has a lot of debt. They don't worry, we'll just print it. We'll just print it. Belief is not enough. You got to really know what's going on. Don't believe in belief, believe in facts. But if you want to be successful, be boring. It is certainly happening all over the world. America's not the only. I mean, we apparently, according to the numbers, have been hit worse by the virus than any other nation. And who knows if the numbers are valid or not. But it's certainly gotten worse and has not helped anybody. There are many companies, families, countries that are suffering. And it's not, unfortunately, it's not over yet. At least in most places, it's not over yet. Okay, so let's say we have a new Bretton Woods. What are they going to do? Wipe out the debt? Well, there are a lot of creditors who are not going to be particularly happy if they wipe out the debt. Endowments, insurance companies, pension plans, they're not going to be very happy if all of a sudden they found out the debt is wiped out. And that's the problem right now, because the debt is the highest level ever in recorded history. And to repeat, America is the single largest debtor nation in world history. It's never happened like this before. So when will this end? I don't know. I'm not very good at market timing. Theory going around now called MMT, more money today. They say, don't worry, we'll just print it. We'll just print it. In most places, it's not over yet. You can come up with a universal basic income. I'm sure everybody, it sounds wonderful. Who's going to pay for it? Where's the money going to come from? That's my question again. Sure, MMT, more money today, says just print it. Throughout history, when you have people lose confidence in money or governments, all of us peasants have some gold and silver in the closet. We have some silver under the bed over there. You know, we forget what the politicians say, forget the academics. You know, we're gonna have some gold and silver hidden away, and I will too. And I will have more. I just don't know when I'm going to buy more. Always comes to an end eventually. I'm not shorting anything right now, but I can see bubbles starting to form in some assets. I've been to this movie. I've seen this movie before. I know how it ends. I don't know when it's going to end, but I know in the next couple of years it's going to end, and it's not going to be fun. There's not a problem at all. So if you listen to them, you should not worry at all. However, I have read a little history, and I've been around a while. And I know that throughout history, when you build up gigantic debts, eventually it leads to a crisis or a semi-crisis. We had a problem in 2008, as you remember. Well, since then, the debt has skyrocketed. All over even China now has a lot of debt. China helped bail out the world in 2008, but even China now has a lot of debt. So it's going to be a big mess. Many people's lives have been destroyed because they didn't understand money. They ran up debts, they didn't have savings, they didn't invest. So the most important thing that I wanted them to learn was money is to be saved and invested, not spent. And I think that is sinking into them. So far, so good. So my main advice to everybody is just stay with what you know, and then there won't be too much belief. It'll be based on reality. And when things go wrong, you will know better than most what to do and how to react. If you just believe something, you're probably not going to know what to do. You're probably not going to know how to react when it goes against you. So nobody likes to hear this advice, but the answer is just stay with what you know. If I told you could only have 20 investments in your life, you wouldn't jump in and out of things. You wouldn't jump into things that you heard on the TV or something, and you would be better prepared. Because then when something goes wrong, you will know what to do. Simple guy like me who's just researching it, et cetera, will not know nearly as much as you do, because you know, I hope you know a lot more about it, and that's how you become successful. Nobody wants to hear that. It gets too boring. But if you want to be successful, be boring. But if you're trying to compete on the world market and you have to pay higher taxes and everybody else has to pay higher taxes, it's impossible to compete. So you have to manufacture somewhere else. It's not good for America. The U.S. is no longer as competitive as it used to be in the world markets. I'm not the only one who knows that. And many companies have moved away or put factories in other places. They're forcing them out. From what I read, the unemployment benefits are so high that many people can make more or as much just staying home and letting the government send them checks. I don't know the facts, but I've read several articles to that effect, and if that's the case, that's the problem. I mean, there are many people in the world say, I'd rather sit home and watch the sports or watch the drama than work. They're sending me money. If that's the case, Patrick, of course, America's shooting itself in the foot. The Federal Reserve and the Treasury both say, don't worry, we have this under control. If there's inflation, it's transitory, etc. Now, I know from history that either they don't know what they're talking about or they're lying, because throughout history, when you have staggering amounts of money printed and borrowed and spent, it's nearly always led to inflation. And we do see inflation rising now. I would suspect we're going to have more inflation despite what these guys say. I have certainly learned I've been investing a long time and have been reading a long time. I've learned that most of the time these guys either don't know what they're talking about or lie. I suspect it's both this time as well. They're just not being honest with all of us, not being honest with themselves. These guys are more interested in keeping their jobs than anything else, Patrick. They don't care about your job or my children. They care about their jobs, and they know that raising interest rates will not be popular. So they'll do everything they can, including printing more money or buying more bonds, to keep interest rates down. Now, eventually, the market says, we don't care. We've seen this movie before. We're going to get out. And they do, and then it gets out of control, and interest rates go higher, inflation goes higher, it all feeds on itself. And then you have really, really, really bad times. But if the market takes over from the central banks, and the market has more money and more brains than the central banks, then we're all in serious trouble. I have learned that you cannot do enough homework, research, preparation. There's always more you can do, and you better do it, because something will hit you out of left field otherwise. Belief is not enough. You got to really know what's going on. Don't believe in belief, believe in facts, believe in reality. Make sure you know that you are right, because if you just get passionate or hope or believe something, you're probably going to suffer a lot. You can come up with a universal basic income. I'm sure everybody, it sounds wonderful. When you build up gigantic debts, eventually it leads to a crisis or a semi-crisis. But if you're trying to compete on the world market and you have to pay higher taxes and everybody else has to pay higher taxes, and you have staggering amounts of money printed and borrowed and spent, it's nearly always led to inflation. And if the market takes over from the central banks, and the market has more money and more brains than the central banks, then we're all in serious trouble.